I'm joined now by Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Congress Member of Parliament, someone who's called for change but not entirely in the way that Kapil Sibal has. Thank you, Abhishek Singhvi, for joining us this evening on No Spin. And I see that you're in your car, the wonders of technology today. The G23 leaders, your colleagues in the party, are meeting right now. They've been asking for an overhaul in the way the party is run. Now, you were on this program the other day saying that something has to change. How do you see then the G23's calls for that change? Do you support them?
Two or three very specific points. There is a lot of constructive criticism which is welcome. That whenever you say of reconfiguring, rewiring, restructuring, etc., it means that it's only a one-point agenda to take away those with a surname of Gandhi, etc. There is a need to reconfigure, restructure. It has to include from bottom to top and top to bottom. It has to include the block president office bearers, the district office bearers, the state office bearers, and so on and so forth. It's a collective thing. And all those suggestions, I think Congress is the most liberal party. But it becomes a little negative and it becomes a little, destructive if you kind of focus on some narrow issues only, which is what I get the feeling sometimes from what I see.
But why do you call it negative, destructive, narrow when the buck stops with the leadership of a party?
Well, if there was a way in which you could press a button, Gandhis go away and everything is hunky-dory, I think the first people to go away would be the Gandhis. Is it really, put your hand on your heart, Nidhi, and ask yourself the question, is it really going to happen? Is it that simplistic? Well, if your answer to that question is no, that you press that button and everything is solved, well, then the question arises, why should people keep on repeating this? I'm only on this narrow part of the demand. Why should you, is there not something then which becomes a single point agenda, something negative, something not very constructive for the Congress? You can make a suggestion, you do this, do that, etc. But I think, when you are in, and there has been a decline in the Congress, 2014 onwards, as I said in another chat show, there has been a secular decline and we are not running away from it, even though, we've had good times, we had two successive governments from 4 to 14. But the answer to that is to make reform, not to say things which might lead to the breakup, which might lead to the destruction or the self-implosion of the party. That can't be the solution.
But isn't that implosion already happening under the leadership of the Gandhis?
What is happening is that we are in a decline and we need some hard restructuring and reform to stop that. We need, for example, I'll give you three very specific things which can be done without anything to do with this constant refrain of leadership change. One, you start reconfiguring office bearers at all levels. Two, you start doing, as I said, alliances and groupings around those in the states who have pole position. You have to submerge your egos and get around it. In some states, Congress will be the leader. And third is to make very strategic seat adjustments to prevent vote divisions against the BJP. Now, a lot of these things don't require anything of the sort which is being suggested. And then, of course, there will be changes as you go along. But then you have to gain the trust and confidence. People start getting the feeling that this is a single point agenda. That can't be the solution.
But then where is the accountability? You have lost a string of elections over the last many years, including 2 big Lok Sabha elections. Who's accountable for that?
All of us are, including them. They've come out and said so. But every time you lose the election, do you have a complete resignation of the president of that party? Which party does it? Tell me. When you lose an election, when you're in trouble, you just have en masse resignations. The next sentence you will say after that is they're running away. They've lost it, they're running away. I don't think that's the way it works. You have to own up. I don't think ever, I'm not talking of now, but right for the last decade or 2 decades, Sonia Gandhi has never run away to come have an own ownership, nor is Rahul Gandhi, nor is Priyanka Gandhi this time. They are contrite, they are sad as I am, as you are as a congressman maybe. But the point is that the answer is not an en masse resignation.
All right, Abhishek Singhvi, you clearly believe the Congress needs to change, however, not as drastically as Kapil Sibal and some other leaders may seem to think. Thanks for joining us from your car. I've seen it all on national television. Thanks for joining us.